Chattanooga, Tennessee, you're moving here, things you need to know. We're going to put some things about Chattanooga into some buckets. One is we are a crossroads city, and we have been for decades, if not centuries. We have a river, the Tennessee River, running right through the town, and we also now, in today's economy, we have interstates running through the city. I-75, I-59 coming up from Alabama, and I-24 from Nashville cutting over. So we have a lot of traffic coming in and out. I can't tell you the number of times I've talked to people, and as a child from Michigan, Ohio, the River Valley up there, connected to Florida, they spent the night in Chattanooga. We're the halfway point between Disney World and the Ohio and Michigan River Valley areas up north. So we have many more hotel rooms than typical for a city our size. Now, the other thing that defines Chattanooga is sugar. Yes, sugar. Little Debbie snack cakes are made in Collegedale out in Ottawa, and they are certainly well known throughout the country. Moon Pie Chattanooga Bakery is right here in Chattanooga. And yes, I know that there's a Moon Pie drop in southern Alabama every New Year's Eve. Unlike New York, where they drop a ball, they drop a moon pie in Alabama. And also Brock Candy was originated here, and Coca-Cola was first bottled in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We were the first bottling plant for Coke. Imagine that. We also are defined by our insurance industry. Blue Cross of Blue Shield of Tennessee is headquartered here in Chattanooga, and we also have what was formerly Provident Insurance, now Unum Provident, or Unum, and that's a disability insurance company, headquartered right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We also have manufacturing back from the days of steel, because we had a lot of coal and we had the river in our neck of the woods. Now that has, even though we do have some foundries in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Volkswagen is probably our premier manufacturing plant right here out in eastern part of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So those characteristics help define the city. So people ask me when they're moving to Chattanooga if they see a cabin, they're intrigued by a cabin up in the North Georgia mountains, and they have a job in downtown, maybe at one of the hospitals. They say, Brian, I think I would like to live here. But what they don't realize is that it could take over an hour, hour and a half for the commute coming off the elevations, because the elevations of the river and the water are generally around 5 to 560 feet. And then the elevations of the ridges around Chattanooga is kind of in a bowl, they're about 2,200 feet. So there's an elevation difference, and Missionary Ridge is about half of that, but Chattanooga is surrounded by ridges, and so it's a little bit challenging when you think about time and distance, because it may take you 20 minutes to get here to Signal Mountain, in a beautiful, wonderful place. I grew up on Signal Mountain. But it also may take you the same 20 minutes to go all the way up 27 to get to the lake up here in an area called Soddy Daisy. And Highway 27, which I was on showing property last evening to someone, there is a restriction for billboards, and there's very little, if no, truck traffic going up to Dayton, Tennessee. All of the other traffic is coming through Chattanooga on I-24 going to Nashville, or I-75 going from Knoxville to Atlanta, or I-59 coming up from Birmingham, Alabama. We're meaningfully 2 hours from all of the cities I just mentioned: Knoxville, Nashville, Birmingham, and Atlanta. So, and all of those are traveling through this interstate system. There's always been about 110,000 cars at this intersection of I-75 and 24 meeting out here near my office by the airport in Chattanooga, Tennessee daily. So you can imagine this is a busy thoroughfare, and then you throw on the local commuter traffic onto that, and it gets a little busy in the mornings and the evenings around this interstate. And in the eastern section of the county, you notice that there's less streets, there's more growth out here. There's two really what I call energy centers of Chattanooga. When I tell people there's two places that you kind of want to be next to or around based on your preferences, those tend to be out in the eastern section where I am at Hamilton Place Mall, and downtown, the central business district, we'll call it, of Chattanooga, that's by the river and the Tennessee Aquarium and all the things that go with the older section of Chattanooga, original Chattanooga, downtown by the river. So if there's a lot of people, as they move here, they are wanting to be 15 minutes with Trader Joe's, from Trader Joe's. The only Trader Joe's right now in Hamilton County in early 2023 is out here by Hamilton Place. So you need to be out here in the eastern section of the county to be next to those retail establishments that you may recognize as chains in different parts of the country. But if you want the eclectic original part, the Reed House, the old Chattanooga Choo Choo, and you want some original Chattanooga, then downtown may be your cup of tea, and on the what we call the North Shore. Because as you see, the river divides the city and the county area into the north and the south, and it's technically really the east, but you see the river takes a turn. So we call it north of the river, and then east and south of the river. 153 connects, is kind of our corridor. A lot of cities like Atlanta or Nashville have a 440 loop. 153 is our loop kind of around the city, and even Amnicola, which runs along the Tennessee River and the Tennessee Riverwalk. So I just want you to be accustomed that time and distance are very, very different in Chattanooga. It may take you only 25 minutes to come out here from East Brainerd to downtown in non-traffic hours. That same time in peak hours may take you 45 to an hour 15, depending on how far out you are. And then obviously it matters regarding your job, if you work from home or if you're working in another location. Now, Chattanooga also is known for its energy and the gig, the internet. We are serviced by the Electric Power Board, which is a public power and internet and TV outlet service provider that's owned by the city. We're one of the largest cities or townships that actually has a city-owned internet provider and power provider. We get our power from TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, which is a federally owned institution. And they have provided dams since the 30s all along the Tennessee River. And you can see the water is wider up here behind Chickamauga Dam. This is Highway 153, goes over Chickamauga Dam, and then the river goes into a river gorge, and a beautiful area as it heads west and south before it turns north again. So the river plays a huge part in our community, and we are basically a temperate rainforest. We have a lot of rainfall during the year, and it's humid here. So just be used to that. But we do have 4 seasons. So a couple of snows in the wintertime, the trees drop their leaves. We have a gorgeous fall, and now it's turning spring again. The leaves are starting to bud in March. And we're the foothills of the Smokies, and we're a temperate rainforest. We have a lot of water, a lot of waterfalls, a lot of hiking and natural areas that are extraordinarily beautiful. TVA has left its mark here. We have relatively inexpensive electricity, and we also have really, really blindingly fast internet. That's why we call it the Gig City. So another interesting feature of Chattanooga is that you see this yellow line right here. We are at the state. This is Georgia, this is Tennessee, and you can see we're marked by the Civil War. We have a very large national park. Chickamauga National Battlefield is right here in North Georgia. So the Civil War did play a big part here in Chattanooga. The Union Army attacked the Confederate Army going up Lookout Mountain, pushing them back down into Georgia, and they had the battle here at Chickamauga. Okay, the other thing that is worth mentioning and understanding about Chattanooga are the taxes, the property taxes in the townships. Chattanooga is made up of 2 central governments. We have a county government for Hamilton County. That's the primary county that most of the population lives in. We have a county mayor, and then we have a city mayor. The city is, well, it's difficult to see this on this map perhaps, but there's an outline of the city, different townships, and the city of Chattanooga is within this yellow line, and then the county is marked in the white. On this particular map, you see also some other shaded areas. This blue area is Red Bank. This other yellowish color up here is Signal Mountain, and then Walden, East Ridge down here snuggled against Georgia. These are townships with their own property taxes, their own police force, their own waste management systems and recycling, and they have a different property tax structure. So we have Hamilton County taxes, and then we have city taxes, depending on which city or township you live in. If you live in the county, then you only have county taxes. And this matters generally here in this area. If you live in the county, you're most likely on a septic tank system as opposed to sewer, and you're responsible for your own garbage pickup, which you have to pay a private company for that, and your fire may be a volunteer fire department, and depending on the distance away, you may have to pay a little more in insurance for your property casualty insurance for your home because of the fire code rating. You will find better property values in Georgia than you do in Tennessee. And people say, well, why is that? Because Georgia has a state income tax, Tennessee does not. So generally, if you have a same 2,000 square foot home, that's probably a little bit less expensive to buy it in Georgia than in Tennessee because of that state income tax. So you need to be aware of that. Georgia does have a retirement benefits package, and you can inquire about that because there's retirees do have some benefits, as Florida has put pressure on Georgia for the retirement age community, right? Tennessee is landlocked, and of course we have the river that takes you all the way to the Gulf of Mexico and the ocean, but it takes a little bit to get there. Unlike Georgia, if you live in Georgia, or even Chattanooga for that matter, you can drive to the coast. Again, I mentioned earlier that Chattanooga is halfway to Florida from Ohio and Michigan. We're a day's drive to beaches in the panhandle of Florida or on the east coast of Georgia. So it's very popular vacation destinations is to head to the beach, either on the Atlantic side or in the panhandle, are their closest places to get to see the ocean front. Another kind of interesting fact about Chattanooga is that we are in the Eastern time zone. And fun little fact, this is a friend of mine, Dean Arnold, wrote this book. This is titled Old Money, New South, and it references the story, I enjoy this because it references the story about Adolph Ochs and him purchasing in 1896 the New York Times. We have an interesting New York City, Chattanooga City connection, and we are both in the same time zone, okay? So we're right up against the time zone. Just west of this map, it goes into the central time zone. So when I was growing up, my grandparents lived on slow time, and we lived on fast time. So you have to translate that just as you drive over into Marion County, go to Jasper or South Pittsburgh on I-24. So the other interesting thing about Chattanooga is that we are a metropolitan statistical area that is very near Cleveland, Tennessee, and Dalton, Georgia. Dalton being the carpet capital of the world. That's where Warren Buffett owns what was formerly Shaw Carpet. I guess it still is Shaw Carpet, but he owns it, and they produce much of the nation's carpet and flooring. Now, obviously going to different types, VLT, all these different hard types of floorings besides carpet. And then Cleveland, Tennessee, which is the home to Lee University and, well, other manufacturing facilities. There's solar panels being built in just north of Cleveland and Charleston, and that is heading east on 75. So just as you get off the map going east, but really meaningfully only about 25 minutes away from downtown, or 30 to 45, depending on how far in Bradley County you live. So Bradley County being Cleveland, Tennessee, and then directly south, Dalton in Whitfield County, Georgia. On the opposite side is about 45-minute drive from Chattanooga going down I-75. The carpet capital of the United States is Dalton. And Dalton and Cleveland are basically in the same MSA. We consider them as growing up, we actually had newspapers and TV. Those were in basically the same news areas, if you will, for those types of things, which that's the closest neighboring cities besides the 4 that I mentioned that are 2 hours away by interstate. So in conclusion, I just want you to know that Chattanooga is an awesome place, and it has so many things to offer you, whether you want to be in a rural, remote area and live more in the woods, or have horses and be on a flat area and out towards Ottawa, or if you like water, if you like hunting, if you're highbrow and you want to have the museums, we have the Hunter Art Museum and we have the Symphony here in Chattanooga. And we also have plentiful internet and we have water. It's a beautiful place to live. Come check us out in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Give us a call and we'd be happy to show off the city because we're proud and it's an awesome place to grow up. It's an awesome place to live. Come on, check out Chattanooga.